Hope Channel, changing lives.
When you want to stop, you can't. And when you want to stop, you can't do it either. That is addiction. Addiction is something that when you want to let go, you won't. Once again, good afternoon and welcome to the program Wounds of the Heart. Today, we are seated already, waiting to set the ball rolling. In fact, you have been so wonderful. I've missed you guys. It has been a while. Because of our program last week, we weren't here. Whatever be the case, we are here today to begin the program. In fact, Slick Afrik, I'll always say God bless you for the fabrics you give. Alpha Art, God bless you for the flyers. God bless you for every one of you who also wait till 4 p.m. every Wednesday to sit and glue on the TV set or with your phone just to watch us live on Facebook or our YouTube handles. Today, we are still looking forward for those who can help us with sponsorship. If you can link up with people, we'll be very glad. If you also can sponsor this program, we'll be very glad. Just drop your contact and we will follow up from there. I wouldn't waste more time. If you want to join us in conversation on WhatsApp, is 0559-680066, 0559-680066, or on our Facebook page, you can send your comment or your question and I will read it for you. Please, I want you to stick and stay. I'll go for this break when I return. We'll talk about today's discussion. Please don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
My dear family, my friend, my big brothers and my sisters. Today is another day on Family Life.
School is an extension of the home. Then the teacher's role actually goes beyond just teaching.
Some people say that insurance is like a parachute. Okay? Insurance, you know when you need a parachute, when you drop from an airplane or from a cliff, and then just when you land, your parachute has to come alive and then carry you. So insurance is like that. If you don't have it when you need it, you will never need it again because you are going to die anyway.
So when you let stress come over you and people are saying this, and because for our society, if you don't have a child, but please, you have your own timetable, and God have a special timetable for you.
Self-care is so important right now. If you are not alive tomorrow, you can't get the job that will be available tomorrow. So when you are going through all these job crises, whether you've lost your job, about to lose your job, or believe you are not even going to lose your job, think about your health first.
Family Life, every Thursdays at 8 p.m.
If you want your business to be very successful, to reach or to have the international flavor, or to transcend to your children and to your children's children and your children's children's children, the best thing to do is to bring in partnership.
You don't need money at all to be innovative.
Right.
But I'm not going to say you don't need money to start a business. A lot of people always think that yes, you need money, but even the way you go about even accessing the funds can find a solution in innovation.
Doing business is about taking risk, and risk involves fear.
Okay.
Because you can never tell the end from the beginning, but you still have to do something.
If you spend out of your sales, you run a risk of not accounting for your sales. You may not know exactly how much you have sold and how much you have spent because you are mixing them up.
Meet our subject matter experts every evening on this channel, where we bring your way the Hope Business Forum version 2.0.
Tuesdays at 8 p.m.
All right, thank you guys. Welcome back from the break. My guest is already seated, and he was here last 2 weeks when we were treating porn addiction. He was here today. Seth, good afternoon. Once again, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
You're looking good today too.
Thank you very much.
All right. Before we enter into today's discussion, there were some arrears of questions I would like us to quickly go through, so that it can help us on today's own. It goes like I said. What are the first steps one can take to gain control over a pornography addiction? Please, why is it that there an obsession with it, or is it because it's visually stimulating, or there is something else deeper? So this is from Samuel. Quickly, one is the first step you can take to control, and two, is it obsession or visually stimulating or something else deeper?
Okay, so first step in overcoming any addiction is accepting, or noticing that you have a problem and accepting that you have the problem. Then only would you allow your mind to want to do something about it. But a lot of the times, people are in denial over any form of addiction. Now, the second thing about whether there's any deeper thing, yes, there are deeper things in every addiction. Which is the fact that portions of the brain, they gain muscle, so to say. So it's like this, like I mentioned the other time, the brain has what we call a reward center. Now the reward center seems to stimulate positive behavior. So every time you do something that rewards you or offers you some form of excitement or pleasure, the brain would tip up a certain chemical we call dopamine. And dopamine gives you a sense of euphoria or excitement. Now, the essence of this process is to make you remember that behavior and do more of it. So we normally would say that that mechanism has been instituted for our survival. So when you eat, there's dopamine. So it reminds you that you have to constantly eat. When you flee danger, you feel, oh, I've been saved. There's an influx. So things like that usually will make you feel excited. Now, porn and so many other substances that cause addiction have found a way to lie to the reward center. So then it's now releasing dopamine to unnecessary things, things that don't aid your survival in any way. But the mind starts to enjoy a certain feeling of excitement without any significant behavior tied to it. So yes, the inner level is that what happens is the brain gets used to, it gets overstimulated to that hormone, the neurotransmitter that gives you excitement, which is dopamine. So that's what happens.
So it's not just the mere obsession or neither the stimulating, but then the deeper one is when the dopamine, the stage where it lies to that reward center that let's do that. All right.
So the obsession is the behavioral part we can all see. So we see that one, but then there are underlying or physiological aspects too.
Thank you so much. All right. I like the show. Thank you very much for the question. Doctor said real men can last for 4 minutes to release. A friend complained that he can only last for 1 minute. Is there a problem with the person?
Okay, so let me put it into context. Averagely, what you need in a total, like the average is for 4 minutes and about 35 seconds. That's the average, Now, if, for example, you notice that you are falling below the average, it doesn't necessarily mean there is a problem. Except it's so consistent that may fall in the realm of some sexual related disorder. And in this case, we might look at premature ejaculation, but that demands a lot of assessment to make a judgment. But off the top of my head, that could probably fall within that scope.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. I'm an elementary teacher in a basic school. One of my pupils engaged herself in phone sex with someone she met on Facebook. I've invited a parent to school on Monday. I need advice. All right, Headmaster, we're going to talk about sex. Today we're going to delve into sex then, so please, we know that you get something out from this one to help those parents. Thank you so much, sir. I heard my brother saying 4 minutes, 30 seconds. My question is when the time frame, so he has answered that question, so thank you so much. Okay, he said that This one is different. He said that when the man's time elapses and the woman had never reached the orgasm, what should the man do?
See, interestingly, this is another whole conversation about sex.
Sex, okay.
And what we call the sex response.
Okay.
So there are different stages of the way the body responds to sex.
Okay.
Now, what I'm talking about is actual penetrative sex.
Okay.
So there are things that you do in the preparatory stages. I'm sure one day we might have time to, you know.
No problem. No problem. All right. So, okay. He said, my question is addiction is addicted in such instance. How can that person do away with it? My name is Nana. How can one do away with addiction? Nana, please. We dealt that last 2 weeks, so I will be very glad that you go watch the video. If you get something that you don't understand, please drop your contact personally. We'll call you personally. Thank you so much, Nana. Hi, Daniel. I started masturbating at age 14 and I added porn when I was 17. I'm 23. Now I'm addicted to both acts. I have tried severally to put a stop to it, but I can't stop. I need help. Yes. One word, what can you tell this gentleman, please?
There's still help out there, but you probably can't do it on your own. So please do reach out and we'll find a way to help you.
All right. So so you watch from us Facebook, Hope TV at Facebook. Every episode that we've done, it's there. So last 2 weeks we dealt with pornography, of which you watch. So on our Facebook pages or YouTube, go there, watch. If there are questions, please drop your contact on our WhatsApp handles 0559680066, and I will personally call you so that we'll talk about it. So thank you so much. So these are many more questions that today we brought you here to help us understand. We know that masturbation, pornography leads to masturbation, or masturbation and pornography are twins. Yeah. But their bigger brother is sex addiction. What is sex addiction?
Okay, so you see, technically, we don't have a diagnosis that says sex addiction.
Whoa.
You understand?
Okay.
We say we have some criteria that we refer to say somebody has a compulsive need to engage in sexual behavior or sexually related behavior, or that they have a preoccupation.
Okay.
So their mind is constantly occupied with sexual related stimuli.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you look at the main thing regarding sex addiction, you'll notice that pornography and masturbation are actually subsets of sex addiction. Sex addiction is the big brother.
Okay.
And the junior brothers are porn and
masturbation.
Because the ultimate goal, and last week I was explaining that these ultimately engaging in porn and then masturbating are ultimately going towards sexual stimulation for pleasure.
Okay, so now sex, all these things, masturbation, pornography, headquarters, sex addiction.
Exactly.
But technically, there's no anything that tells us there's a sex addiction.
Good.
So what is the difference between high sex drive and sex addiction?
Very good. That's a very good question. So you see, when we say that something is an obsession, it's almost like you cannot control it. Now, somebody may have a high sex drive, but they have control. It's just when they have the opportunity, they will engage in the behavior consistently. But if they have other things to do, they'll go and do it.
Okay.
So think about it this way. The person with a high sex drive may feel the urge to engage in sexual activity whilst in church.
Okay.
But they can hold on until they have a good avenue to actually engage. Somebody who is addicted to sex or someone who has that compulsion to do it, when the need comes, they are not able to control it. So then they need to satisfy themselves there and then. Remember one thing, sex addiction can be likened onto any addiction of substance, whether it's an opiate or, let me bring it now, whether it's cocaine or marijuana or ecstasy, in any of those families, it's the same edge. So you need to fix yourself or else there's a feeling of something is not right. That's what the preoccupation and the compulsion feels like.
Okay, so when your wife is highly sex, has sex drive, that doesn't make her sex addict.
Not
or
at
if
all.
your husband.
Not at all.
Because with high sex drive, those people can control.
They have control.
But the addict, no.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the other criteria would be to say that the feeling or the compulsion interferes with your functioning in several modalities like work. So you might be working. Once the urge comes, you have to stop and go and do it. So even in masturbation, I mentioned that some people would masturbate at work.
Exactly.
Or at church, which are very incongruent, you know.
Yes,
now, so they will have to do it there and then. So it's impairing their function, either in church, in school, in their personal relationships. So when the need comes, you want to satisfy it. We are not meant that way, that both partners can suddenly just feel like it has to be done.
So those with sex high drives, they have the compulsion to control.
Yes, they are able to control. However, it may predispose them to getting addicted. Because it's a pleasurable activity. And so the more you indulge, the more the mind learns that, it's good. So the high drive may push them to do it so much that it's difficult to start controlling. So it can predispose them to getting.
I've gotten numerous of calls that the ladies will tell you, also, thank you so much for your program you're doing, but then I like sex, my husband doesn't like sex, and I feel that he's cheating on me. I feel that, what should I do? I tell them, so far as you like, it is what you when you accept, you and your husband. You started by saying the minimum is 4 minutes 30 seconds. You see, people are still asking because we think that it should go more than that because of things we see on set, things we read about. But if your wife is, I think that one of the days we need to bring how to control those edges. It's not it's not addictive, but then it is part of us. You can control it, so continue to control it. Don't let it get into the stage that if your husband is not there, you need to bring in somebody to satisfy that pleasure. No, it is not. You don't become addicted to it, because if you become addicted, wahala.
And culturally, if you look at our culture, conversations around sex are very difficult to have.
Exactly.
And especially for the marginalized group like women. Talking about sex almost seems as if you are you are weird. You are not that whole thing. Now it makes it difficult to have sex that is fulfilling, in a sense that your partner doesn't know what you like, you don't know what they like, and even within the process, there might be things that you enjoy. But if you talk about it, you are labeled Wasei. So there are cultural and religious factors that may impede sexual fulfillment in marriage, specifically in marriage. I want to emphasize that.
Exactly. That is what I also want, because those who are not married, we are not asking you to do this. It is for married people. Please don't try this at home, please. All right. So now we understand that difference is that high sex drive is not sex addiction. Addiction can control. High sex can control. Thank you so much. Let me call you Prof for this for this. Okay. So with this, are there some types of sex addiction? Do you have types of that?
Yes, technically there are types, and some of these types fall under what we call sexual dysfunctions. Okay, you see, there are dysfunctions within the ability to enjoy, either being aroused or enjoying or being excited from sex.
Okay.
So watching porn is a type of sex addiction.
Okay.
Masturbation is a type of sex addiction. Then we have more complex ones like sadistic or masochistic.
Okay.
Where these are people who either want to inflict pain to other people to enjoy sex, or they want pain to be inflicted on them.
Okay.
Then we have yes, we have the voyeurs, we have the exhibitionists. So exhibitionists, we call them flashers.
Okay.
Now they get sexual stimulation from showing off their nakedness to people.
Prof, I want my viewers to get this with exhibitionists. You see, we think that a lot of people on social media, you see them half naked kind of stuff. It's a factor. It is part of sex addict or something.
Well, it depends if that gives them stimulation. So for an exhibitionist, their stimulation is from the reaction you make.
Okay.
So if, for example, I show my nakedness to you, the reaction you make is what gives me a sexual edge.
Oh, okay.
That's how exhibitionists
Okay,
are.
so when I put my new, so if I'm an exhibitionist and I put my new picture on social media, the comments, the likes.
Not entirely the likes, but the ow. You see, like how people ow is like, what is this? That is what gives them the edge.
Okay.
Good. It's not that beautiful, nice body. No, that's
No,
not.
they don't
that's
like
not
that.
it.
Hey,
it's the surprise or the surprise they experience from you that gives them sexual stimulation.
Okay.
And their brothers are what we call the voyeurs.
Okay.
Or in more informal terms, peeping toms.
Okay.
They get sexual stimulation by looking at people who are not suspecting.
Okay.
So when someone is bathing and they are peeping,
okay,
they get that. Now, let me put this in context. If they are giving an actual sexual encounter, it doesn't offer them any pleasure except this one. So it's dysfunctional, though
exactly,
it's dysfunctional because it deviates from the normal. And so that's where the challenges are. And then coupled with those who have those of what we call bestiality, wanting to engage in sexual activities with animals or even sometimes inanimate objects. So these are addictions because that's the only one they want. And they want to do it more and more and more and more. They have a compulsion to engage in that particular behavior. That's what makes it a type.
Hey, I say one. So when we see people, I'm so much interested in the exhibition because we see them, we see them, and we might think that, oh, probably that's what I'm doing. So when I hey, what are you wearing? What are you doing? Hey, then they are happy.
It could be. I mean, social media is giving an avenue for you to reach 1,000 people at once.
At once, those,
and it could be. So, I mean, if I were to get it any closer, I'd say any comment that says something like, why are you doing this? Would obviously give them more stimulation than a comment that says nice.
Okay.
Which is neutral in the exhibitionist.
All right, but hello, please. I want to ask if there's any correlation or link between masturbation and premature ejaculation. The reason why he's asking this is, how many times should man have sex in a month?
Okay, great question. Well, interestingly, the sex response for, you see, the primary goal of sex, from what we have known since evolution, was to procreate. Okay, and they'll tell you that at least every 3 days, you should clear the chamber.
Okay.
To give way to new sperm and things like that. But I cannot prescribe the number of times
wonderful.
that anybody must have sex. Sex is supposed to be, it's quite instinctual.
Exactly.
There's an attraction that you experience, and then so it becomes very problematic to you.
So post it here. We don't want to, because this is for educational purposes, not for unmarried people. It is for married people. And my marriage counselor wouldn't tell you that have sex every day or don't have sex every day. It is when you think that your wife, the environment, the ambience calls for that, you need to hit it on. So please, as he's saying, he can't prescribe that, Jamal. But then let that instinct work with you and your wife, Jamal. So if you're married, that is what I would tell you.
And then he asked also, I think someone asked about masturbation and premature ejaculation.
The correlation.
Okay, so you see the evidence and the experience we've had with people reporting masturbation would tell you that because it involves an active imaginative process, it leads to quicker orgasms. Okay. And in the same light, it tends to make people lazy because you don't have to go through a lot of work to get your final act, which is ejaculation. So there's a tendency. Sometimes people have also said that it allows people to be able to practice in order to hold themselves. To reduce their ability to ejaculate much quickly. But the addictive nature is what is most.
Aside all these things, what are some of the major causes that leads one into sex addict?
Okay, so I'll look at it from two perspectives, the biological causes and then the environmental. Now, there are some people who are born with what we call genes for impulsivity. And if you're very impulsive, it means that you have a problem with regulating emotions and behavior. So such personalities can quickly get addicted. You see, that's the reason why somebody says, I've smoked for 20 years, but I have control. And someone smokes one day and there's a problem. We're all very different. So there's some evidence that shows the way specific genes can actually predispose you to an addiction. And the addiction might not be limited to one. If you have an addictive personality, you can be addicted to everything and anything. It's not limited to. Then also, when we come to that of the environment, the kinds of things you've been through, maybe you've had several pleasant experiences with sex, or the age at which you started, how it was initiated. Things like that can also affect you to get addicted to sex.
So somebody being molested, can it lead to that?
It can. Now this is what happens. So that person will have an unusual arousal pattern, which is to be aroused, they must be molested. So they fall into the sadistic aspect. So we've had clients like that. They are not able to be turned on through usual means, except they are being molested in a way. Yes.
Then how can somebody live with such a person if you don't know and you marry such a person?
Let me give you a funny depiction.
All right.
We've had several instances of people who will constantly fight. They'll tempt their partners to fight on purpose, and they make up.
Okay.
So you see, in as much as it seems like it's not something that's common, it's actually very common. The makeup involves some roughness, which takes them back to the whole. So it's actually it's very common.
So you should be very careful if some couples are fighting. We might
Every
not know
time they will fight,
you
and
might
they'll
know
do what they say make-up sex.
Okay.
It could be one of the reasons why that is the pattern.
Happening. So these are some of the common. I also realized that those who do alcohol, those who do those type of substance abuse easily get addicted because you said that even if last time you said that even if your team wins, the euphoria, the excitement cause someone to masturbate or to watch porn. So if I also do alcohol, or other substance abuse, the tendency of me becoming addicted to sex, it is very easy and possible.
Of course. Most addictive behaviors are related. They don't occur in isolation. So like sex addiction and porn go hand in hand. They go hand in hand with masturbation as well. Gambling addiction goes hand in hand with like drunk behavior or risky behaviors, because in the casino you are drinking whilst you are you understand. Substances also will go in. So you take a substance, you get euphoric, then you want to have sex. So they are all interrelated. Very much.
All right. He says that what should I do when my legal wife doesn't like sex at all? She only wants it like once a month. What should I do?
You have to have a conversation around it.
Have a conversation around it.
Yes, you need to have open talks with your partners about sex and what you want. I mean, once it's not inconsiderate of you, that's not a problem.
It's a problem.
Now, if you find that it's difficult to have such conversations, it's always good to see a professional to moderate the session so that nobody feels as if one is demanding too much or one is not asking for at all.
All right. So now, with all these things you've explained, how can I know that I'm addicted to sex?
Okay, that's good. So, one, if you notice that you have a preoccupation, your mind is always buzzing with things around sex, themes of sex, or that someone is constantly talking about things that are related to sex, that may be an indication. Now, if you find that each time you have an urge to have sex, you cannot control it, and that you either have to masturbate or have actual sex or watch porn to calm the urge down, you may be in line. And then when you are done with the activity and you feel a sense of guilt or sadness, that's also an indication. Where you've tried on your own to kick the behavior, but you've not been able to, that's also an indication. So these are just a few pointers.
I like it because it's very practical.
Yes.
If I'm hearing people talking about sex, or if I do it, if I finish doing sex and I feel guilty, as you're saying,
exactly.
all these things. But it is different from somebody having a high sex drive.
Exactly.
That's the point.
That's the difference.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, viewers, let me go for this break. And the show is still Wounds of the Heart. We are discussing sex addiction, and I know that you are taking so much notice of. Please, you can still share the page because we want people to get to know and understand this thing so that we can help other people who are suffering from this thing. I'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere.
Matthew, say Mark say Luke say Matthew, Matthew say everybody.
I have a school father who smokes weed. Is it right to still hang out with him or stay away from him?
I'll report him, but let me tell you the reason why I'll report him. Because this one, if he gets into trouble, because I was working with him, I'll also be in trouble.
Isn't that selfish?
I don't care. Hey. Like if I'll also not be in trouble, like me, I'll not mind you.
Oh. So what's your rationale not for reporting them? Why won't you report them?
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Saw this picture that a mother posted on top of her fridge. You are not hungry, you are bored.
So you eat out of boredom?
A little. Okay, wait, let me be truthful. A lot.
I don't think having a boyfriend is a bad thing.
Okay.
It's just like, let me say, Ghanaian mentality.
Hey.
Because when you say boyfriend, then something else pops up.
And you're welcome to Teens Connect, the platform for teenagers where we can express freely our thoughts and opinions on various subjects that disturb us, subjects that worry us, and subjects that cause us to think. On this platform, we say anything and everything as long as it's bothering you, and we try and find solutions for ourselves.
We want to defy our family's decision and get married or elope. I need advice. What should I do?
Please, what should I do?
How do I tell her I cheated on her months ago? I need help. What should I do?
Okay, so for me, the moment I read the story, the first thing that came to mind was, wow, knowledge is indeed power. Sometimes we go through situations because we have no knowledge of how to go about them.
If you come from a home like that, you are likely to accept anything the outsider would, direct at.
The fact that we had an interesting ceremony where a priest prayed and all of that doesn't mean that magically you have turned into something else.
If he finds his way to God, a Bible-believing church, and he goes and he wants to change, nothing is
he giving
impossible.
His properties to charity and stuff?
Oh no, why? Okay, I think this is another discussion that we will not end today, so we'll not even go into it.
Real Talk, showing this and every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back from the break. The show is Wounds of the Heart. We are discussing sex addiction. In case you just joined in, you can ask your question. Probably we've said it already. We'll let you know. But if not, we can also answer it to you. You can watch us live on. We're still live on Facebook and on our YouTube handle Hope TV GH. You can still watch us there. Prof, what are some of the signs and symptoms of people who are sex addicted?
That's what we mentioned, the preoccupation, feelings of guilt and shame after the act, trying to kick the habit but not being able to, and also sometimes feeling intense feelings of discomfort when they are not able to engage in the act. Remember, it's just like any substance abuse because you need to fix yourself before you can feel okay or your normal self. So just like in marijuana where you need to smoke to get your normal sense of comfort. It's the same process. So if you found any of these things that you've tried to stop and you haven't been able to stop, you feel guilty after the act, or that your mind is constantly buzzing with sexual related content, whether it's constantly wanting to watch porn or wanting to masturbate, these are typical things that you notice about.
But Prof, fine, this is me. So what would I see in somebody to know that that person is addicted to sex?
Excellent question. What they say. Okay. There are some people who are constantly talking about sex. Okay. Their content of speech is all about sex, or they are insulting, and the insults are sexual related. You know, describing parts of people and things like that. Those are also some characteristics of people who have a sex addiction.
All right. That is a good one. That's a good one. So let's take notice of that. If a friend likes using such words, prompt the person. If he might not know, or if she knows about it, please, we can help that person stop it. And it might be signs and symptoms of being addicted to sex. A very educated program. Seth is so good and learning. We thank God. God bless you. You should have dropped your name. That probably he might know you, the person who is saying that. But God bless you for that comment. God bless you. God bless you. All right. So, Prof. So we now know what the science and the sign. So how seriously can sex addict affect someone?
Well, you know, like I mentioned earlier, that we are always looking for its ability to impair you in several functioning to say that it's an addiction. Now, as a result of that, if you're at work and you have a compulsive urge to have sex consistently, you can imagine some of the things you'll do. You neglect work and go and do it. Now, let's not also forget that it has a way that can predispose you to engage in some behaviors that could be criminal, like rape. So if you have a compulsion, an urge you cannot control, and you need to get it off, whoever is around, you may push yourself to do it. So that's something also we must take cognizance of. I mean, it's not all people who are addicted to sex that are sex offenders, but there's a high inclination for them to engage in such acts. So sometimes you hear something like a man has slept with a 12-year-old. It could be something like that. If you have an uncontrollable urge, not because you just want to sleep with children, which would be pedophilia, which is pedophilia, but because you just needed to do it and you had to do it. So those are things that can affect, and it can affect also interpersonal relationships. Imagine what it would be like to be with someone who's a sex addict. So because you're unable to give them what they want, the tendency for them to engage with other people becomes high, which is a break of trust and confidence in each other. Not forgetting the fact that they could carry on a lot of venereal diseases. And like in COVID, corona days now, you can only imagine how terrible that would be as well. So these are some of the things that, I mean, some of the consequences of.
All right, so I'm a sex addict, or she's a sex addict. How can I be in a relationship with that person? She's my wife, he's my husband. How can I be in the relationship with that person who's a sex addict?
Well, you see, it's not about being in a relationship. You can be in the relationship. It's whether you're engaged in the relationship or disengaged.
Oh, she's my wife.
Yeah, she's your wife doesn't mean that you want to be there. There are dozens of people who are in marriages, but they are not in the marriage.
All right.
And we tend to find that a lot of the times when people's sex drives don't seem to complement each other, there are lots of challenges. And I'm going to speak typically for what I have seen.
Exactly, go on.
Which is the fact that when a woman's sex drive is high and the husband is unable to match, the thing that he tells her is, you like sex too much, and starts to make the woman feel as if she's bad, she's a whore, or something like that. Now, when it changes and it's the woman who has, when it's the man that has a high sex drive, they tend to blackmail them. But where do you want me to go? If you don't give me, where will I go? And the next thing is, they are looking for an opportunity to do something anyway.
Okay.
So then they'll come in, even if they break the trust of the marriage and they go out, they will blame you that I wanted to do it. And some will even quote scripture. There's a scripture that says, don't make your husband or something drink from the pot of another. They'll quote this thing, and I hear it all the time. So the dynamic is interesting, and the culture seems to be in favor of men. But in any form of addiction, the most important thing to do is to see a therapist or somebody you trust. They can give you a perspective that you perhaps are not seeing, and these things usually help.
Okay. Marriage and sex addiction. Marriage and sex addiction.
Yes.
What's the way forward?
You have to talk to somebody about it. You need to talk to a professional.
Okay.
Because you may have to do certain things to be able to accommodate each other. You have to be able to accommodate. Once you are in the marriage, you have to accommodate. I mean, think about it to say, I'm quitting marriage because the sex is too much. Well, we hear about, I'm not getting it, so I want to quit. But it's too much. But people say, oh, but I mean, exactly. So you always have to get a healthy avenue to be able to discuss these things, whilst bearing in mind each other's needs, respecting each other's boundaries as well.
Okay. So couples out there, your husband or your wife could probably, I wouldn't say addicted to sex, but then high sex drive. Don't think that he or she is spoiled, or don't think that your wife, especially as he's saying, the wives are always blackmailed. Don't say that your wife is a whore, blah, blah, blah. No, please, please. Enjoy marriage to the fullest. Enjoy marriage to the fullest. In any other dimension, I always say that, Prof, I always say that no one knows what happens in the bedroom of couples. No one knows.
No, at all.
No one knows what happened.
You only imagine.
You can imagine, but no one knows. Whether missionary, whatever, no one knows. Yeah. But at least the husband or the wife, let's sit together, develop a plan as to how best you want it. Don't compare. And those of us who are once addicted to porn or always want to move from porn scene to the bedroom scene. If my husband is not doing this, then it means that he's not. So please, it can distort marriage, can destroy marriage, but then it is better to see a counselor, a professional, to talk to him or her about these things we are talking about. All right. What is sexual anorexia?
Well, anorexia usually just stands for, like, let's say, an aversion. Okay, so sexual anorexia has to do with a low sex drive, or the lack of enjoyment in the act of sex. And it normally would stem from some negative experience that was related to a prior sexual behavior. So like sexual abuse in some form can push people to have they are anorexic to sex. Okay. They are sex averse. They don't like to have sex because they had an unpleasant experience with it.
So how do we deal with such people?
Well, in most cases, you see, it's just a mindset. The truth is that sex is pleasurable. So when someone does not feel the pleasure, it's because of several mindsets. So let me give you a typical example. The husband that's constantly telling the wife that you like sex too much, hey, you are, she suddenly starts to associate sex with my husband accusing me. So they disengage from sex. And before long, they don't feel the need to even want to have sex. That could be a basis for an anorexic reaction to sex. Somebody's been sadly raped. And it was a very traumatic event for the person. So the person's thoughts of sex are related to only rape. And so we have to work with them through therapy to make them recognize that it's just a thought process. It's a mindset. So you see, in most cases, they will not even initiate. But if they actually did initiate the behavior, they might recognize that what they are thinking and what they believe are not actually true. Yes.
So they need to still see a counselor.
A professional. See a professional.
All right. All right, this is a question. The person didn't bring the name, but then let's read it. He said, what about if my wife can't stand the size of my steak and always in pains during sex?
That's good.
That once or a month sex. And I as a man want it like 4 to as many as I can. What happens? What should I do?
There are several questions we need to ask about why she's constantly in pain, because even if the penis size is that big, there are several other ways to make a woman seem bigger or to make it more, to have enough lubrication. Okay. There could be a possibility that there are spasms. There are the disorders we call like vaginismus, which is the tightening of the... So it's good to see, she should see her gynecologist to be sure, and they rule out the fact that maybe it has to do with problems with hair getting aroused for the activity. There are several lubricants and there are several positions that would make it easier
for her,
for that process. And so it's good for that communication to happen.
All right.
So and remember, as men, remember one thing. The way God created the vagina, it can absorb anything.
Because I call it free.
Exactly. So, of course, I don't expect any penis to be bigger than a thigh.
All right.
You understand what I mean? So it's the fact that perhaps the process towards the act is not something that is stimulating enough to get her ready.
Ready for that.
Exactly. And not forgetting that if he is not also good at it and not doing it well, of course, then there's more pain. You can't expect to have a very long penis and then you want to have sex in a position that exposes the womb. It will only cause pain.
Prof, there are a lot of people who are dying slowly in their homes with what you're saying, and it is also becoming a wound in your heart, and they can't talk about it. I know that one day I'll still bring you here for us to help people in that aspect, because I think couples have a lot of questions, and as you're saying, even how to even go with sex, how to go with romance, how to go with those things, it's another factor. It's something we need to also educate the populace about it. So I've spoken for you, and I know that when the time is due, you sit and stick and stay with us. And all right, so that is an anorexia for us. And so is it appropriate for a partner of an addict seek help even when the addict is not ready?
Okay, so you see, the biggest challenge with addiction is most people are in denial over their addiction. Okay, because they can't accept that that's their problem. But the help for every addiction starts from acceptance. You see, think about it this way. Why is it that when you have malaria, you go to the pharmacy, you buy Alaxin or any artemether lumefantrine family medication, and you take it and you are not worried. In fact, you might not even pray because of malaria, because you accept what malaria is. Now, take another diagnosis, and sometimes when we break bad news to people, you say Tofiakwa, I cannot have cancer, because cancer is seen to be a big deal. So their mind cannot just accept the fact that they have cancer. As a result of that, they would deny the fact that they have it. And they will go around. Denying it also means you're not going to follow through on the treatment. So that's what happens. So if someone has any form of addiction and they don't accept they have an addiction, sadly, majority of the interventions you put in place is like fetching water out of a basket. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yes.
Okay. So we need to, if the spouse, if the wife or the husband still doesn't accept the fact that he or she is an addict to sex, the one who is not addict should still seek help as to how best he can deal with
so
that person.
it's basically about giving insight and making them recognize consistently what these behaviors are, because the tendency to forget these behaviors is very high. When the act is done, and they don't remember again. So if you're constantly prompting, you remember this one, you see this one, you see this one, they'll get to a point where they might accept that they have a problem with that particular substance.
Alcohol addiction, smoking addiction, all those addictions, they take them into rehabs.
Yes.
What of sex addiction?
Oh yes, there's inpatient treatment for sex addiction.
And how do you tame those people?
Well, it's not about taming. So like I said, once there's an acceptance that I have a problem, people make a mental note to follow through on the process because they notice that it's ruining their lives. Okay? See, for most people who seek treatment for any form of addiction, we say they hit rock bottom.
Okay.
They've gotten to a place where it's causing more harm in their life. And so they realize that doing something about it is helpful. So there are inpatient treatments. We have group therapy. Group therapy just simply works around a dynamic of noticing that you are not alone. And people tend to individualize what they are going through and feel like they are the only one, nobody understands. But you go to a group therapy session and you see it's the basis of all these Narcotic Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, Abusers Anonymous.
I wish I would join Sex Anonymous. I just want to, if they have that group, because I've been with the AA and A's, but then with the SAs, I don't know. But
well, I don't think I don't know any in Ghana.
Exactly,
so
that is because people, as you say, people are individualizing it, knowing that masa. Sex addict for people to have that stigma. So, all right.
So this group therapy is another. We have cognitive behavior therapy, where you show people to notice the way their thoughts and their behaviors are related.
All right.
And so, therefore, if I'm able to draw an association between when you watch football, you masturbate, or when you watch football, you want to have sex, then you can notice that is a trigger.
Okay.
So being able to cut the trigger might be the necessary force we need to break the addiction. There are several therapeutic approaches.
That is wonderful. So they can also go for rehab. So it is good. Yeah. Practically, how can we help such people?
Well,
without taking them to rehab,
good.
How can we help them?
One thing I always mention about addictions is the fact that most of us tend to take a seat, but we take a seat and we say, just stop. It's not that simple, and it's not that easy. The more we criticize them, the difficult it is for them to actually kick the behavior. Remember, some people are addicted to some behaviors because they are using that to cope with deep-seated emotional and psychological challenges. So if you add on, and I hear it a lot of the time, only alcohol, you can't stop, then stop it. It's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
It has become physical. The brain has gotten used to it. So we say that addiction is a brain disease. Exactly. So it's a brain disease. And with all diseases, it takes time to work on. So if you have someone who's addicted, instead of ostracizing them, please keep them closer.
All right.
The more social support, or the more they feel like they are wanted, the energy needed to kick the behavior is higher. In fact, research is showing us that for people who've had people close to them who care about them, they have a higher motivation to quit any addiction than those who are ostracized.
Okay. Thank you so much. He said, what about us who have not done it before, but the feelings get haunting us? What's the way forward?
You are human.
Definitely.
The feelings should come.
Okay.
If it doesn't even come, you are not human.
You are not human. All right. Thank you so much. That is wonderful. This is where time will permit us. In fact, you've been a blessing to this show. God richly bless you. God bless you so much in everything that you do. And we know that this seat wouldn't be the first or the last on this seat, because you've made a promise, and we know that we need to help people, that those thousands of people out there who don't have what it takes to go for rehab, because it's not easy for us to go to rehab. So this program will help other people out there to be able to help. And that is the reason why this program is there. And that is why we keep on saying that if you can link us to a sponsor, we're very glad. Or if you can also sponsor us, we're very glad, because we want to bring in more people like him to talk to people out there, to help other people. So if you can't preach the gospel, your substance can also do that for us. God bless you for watching. My viewers, in fact, you have been amazing since day one. And coming November, we will celebrate 1 year of this program, and we'll celebrate it in the grand style. So please watch out for this page, and it's going to be wonderful. Alpha Art, God bless you for my flyer. Instagram Alpha Art. If you need anything, poster anything, please just contact Alpha Art and he will deliver it to you. I have a brother in the US currently. I could see A-Class Multimedia, a producer, a director, a writer. I could see a name to Chema Michia in the wherever you are in the US. God bless you. And your program, Cincinnati Junior, every Saturday 3 p.m. on Facebook. Cincinnati Junior, they talk about school, so you can join them every Saturday afternoon 3 p.m. on Facebook. You can join them. And also Ashomana State Church is inviting you to a Zoom or 9:30, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. They coming this Saturday. It's going to be a wonderful midnight with God. Please, you can't afford to miss it. And the final thanks goes to God Almighty and Setma. So God bless you for passing. I know it's me. All right, thank you so much, and God bless you. It's the first Wednesday in September. Please, I want to meet you at the end of Wednesday in this September. So please, do your best. COVID is still around, so please let's be careful. Until then, your regular host, Pastor Daniel Abedu Vidiaba. I'm out.